What up racer, it's Jerone here and welcome back to another F1 2021 League Racing video, and we're back with Apex Online Racing, and this is round number 9 for the AOR season, and we're here in Belgium at Spa, and this is one of the tracks that I like driving a lot, and I would love to visit this Grand Prix track once, but historically I've only done 2 league races here, but both league races didn't exactly go to plan here. So I hope to make amends to that today, and you're joining me for qualifying. And this time I think qualifying actually got off to a good start for once again, because this medium lap here was really strong. It was a personal best for me on the mediums. Anyways, I can't exactly show you great standings that look nicer than this, because the coordinator of this league was too quick for me this time, so I had to do it myself, and you can see leading this championship by 11 points over Solid Ninja, and my main goal is finishing ahead of him today, so we'll see whether I can do that. I said this medium lap was my personal best, and I think it could have been 2/10 quicker if I didn't make that mistake right at the end there, but overall this is a really strong baseline. Then you don't have a lot of time around here. If you want to do 3 laps, you can't fuel up for an extra lap. You literally have to do out lap, flying lap, in lap 3 times over, otherwise you can't make it on time. Went out on the soft compound and put in a 42.5, which is quite a decent time, I must say, considering the amount of grip at the time and the amount of risk I wanted to take with the lap. Of course, I don't heat it across curbs when you still have one more attempt to go. Besides this turn 1, it actually was quite a good lap, so once again I'll let you enjoy some audio sounds.
We're expecting rain in around 10 to 15 minutes.
As you can see, cheeky little Spinala right here at the end of the qualifying lap. It's looking really strong there. I was about to do basically 42 flat, or maybe even into the 41s, which also was the pole time for FRL. So I was on for a really good lap, but I took too much risk there in the final chicane, and you can't take that inside curb, and I guess I paid the price for it there. Anyways, as you could see, Valley Monster pulling into the pit lane, and overall it was still enough to get pole position with the second lap of the session, so quite happy with that. Although pole doesn't mean a lot, it's of course cool to stack up poles. To be honest, I don't feel like I'm a qualifying merchant, but judging by the fact that this is my 6th pole of the season, it probably is. I probably am, I mean. Although I still feel like my race pace is usually also there, but I seem to have found some extra level of pace in qualifying this year, so I'm quite happy with that. Anyways, we're looking back at the AOR start from last year, and that wasn't great, because I got tangled by Zach and Pasty into turn 1, and all 3 of us lost a lot of time and positions there right at the start. Then this is FRL, where I was on caught out on old mediums right after a safety car. And this one was completely my fault. I was too eager on the throttle and lost control over the car, got an oversteer moment. And then there was another car on my inside, which caused me to retire from the session, which was quite unfortunate, because I was looking to fight for the win in that race as well. Anyways, new race, new chances, and you can see here at the bottom, Rally Monsters joined and left the session, so perhaps he had some connectivity issues there. As have a quick little look at which star everyone's starting on. Inside the top 10, everyone on softs, then outside of the top 10. Basically everyone on mediums except Moosington. So we're gonna get ready now for 5 red lights, and it is pedal to the metal. And once again, it's a really strong start by me. My starts are on point this season, and I'm easily ahead into turn 1 and trying to get clean traction out of turn 1. My teammate qualified in 3rd and got ahead of Rally Monster here right at the start of the race. I'm not sure whether Rally Monster's tires were up to temperature or not, but I guess it worked out for my teammate, using quite a bit of ERS here to make sure I stay ahead into the Les Combes chicane. And once again, we were also in communication, of course, so I made that clear that I was going to drain my battery in order to stay ahead for this first lap. As you can see, yellow flags behind, and it's one of the Alfa Romeos, if I can see that correctly, that has spun out here at the first lap. And yeah, once again, Rally Monsters joined, so I'm not sure what exactly happened, but overall we couldn't pull away from Rally Monster, Gabs and Tash, so we're heading on to lap 3 now, where the DRS is of course activated. And my teammate was quite close at this time, so I was not gonna fight this. Of course I'm gonna use quite a bit of battery, because at this stage we were trying to break the DRS from Rally Monster and the cars ahead. Or not ahead, behind of course. And yeah, I basically did my job, drained my battery quite a lot these first 2.5 laps. And just waving my teammate by. I must say, it feels really good to be in communication with someone else. It can really help during a race, and it also really helps when you can work together, of course. Then on the next lap, you could see I already recharged my ERS by like, what, 10-15% compared to the previous lap. And I could overtake my teammate here if I really wanted to, but I opted against it. And in hindsight, I probably should have done this, because something inside of me felt that there was going to be a safety car this lap. I just knew it was going to happen. And indeed, going through Pouan, you can see Switchback retired from the session, and there actually is a safety car. And this is a little bit problematic, because of course you have to stack behind your teammates when you go into the pit lane. And I definitely want to make sure I use the safety car, because it's essentially a free pit stop. So we're going to speed it up a little bit, and you can see in the top right in the delta, I was trying to create a little bit of a gap, and I wasn't sure whether it was exactly allowed to slow up a lot, as in slow up like, I don't know, 8-10 seconds. So it was sort of a half-hearted attempt of slowing down, and I think I gained like 4 seconds, well, created the gap of like 4 seconds to my teammate. But we're heading into the pit lane now, and you can see there was already 2 seconds of waiting. Then before my crew is active, needed to wait another 2 seconds. And you can see an AlphaTauri morphing inside me, an Alfa Romeo coming out ahead of me, and a McLaren of Pasti is ahead of me. So overall, I lost quite a couple of positions during this pit stop. Rally Monster is in front of us as well. So I'm pretty sure I lost 4 positions in this pit stop phase. In hindsight, looking at the regulations, you're, I think, only not allowed to slow down when there is a VSC. But I think with a full core safety car, you can actually hold up the pack completely. And in the meanwhile, you could see Rally Monster actually made a mistake coming up Eau Rouge on his hard compound tires. Not gonna lie, I've done that at the start of this game as well. It's really treacherous to go out on cold hard going up Eau Rouge, and at least I gained 1 position back there. And I'm also not sure what Pasti was doing, but he accidentally put on a new set of soft compound tires, I assume, and he decided to come in for mediums again. So I'm in P8 for this race, and of course there are quite a few people who have stayed out, who started on the alternative strategy on the medium compound. And you can see Mr. Moosington as well, probably hitting the curbs for Lacombe chicane. And unfortunately for me, that's not another free position, but it is for Tash and for Gabs and for my teammate. So unfortunately I can't benefit from that, and I'm not sure why people are always so close to each other on a safety car. I really don't understand what the logic is for that. You just can't gain anything, and the only thing you can lose is risking a 5-second time penalty. As we get underway for the restart, Moosington having a really slow one, so we're challenging him into turn 1, and he parks his car on the apex there, so I go for a switchback, but then an AlphaTauri spinning into the wall, and I nearly lost control over the car myself in similar fashion to what happened in FRL. And that actually means instead of challenging Moosington, I have to sort of wave by Solid Ninja, who is of course my championship rival at the moment in this league. And they're looking to go side by side into the Lacombe chicane. You can see Mr. Moosington overshooting the corner a little bit, and Solid Ninja gets a bit of a better line through these corners, and he's looking to challenge Moosington into this long right-hander. He gets the inside, and Solid, also on medium compound now, is ahead of Moosington, and I'm still stuck behind. And you can see there's already quite a gap between Solid Ninja, myself, and the whole pack ahead of us now. So the safety car's really thrown a spatter in the works here, which I wasn't particularly happy with, but of course I'll have to keep my head down and first of all try to pass Mr. Moosington, as we tried to do that around the outside into the bus stop chicane, but my braking wasn't committed enough and I couldn't stick it around the outside, or which would turn into the inside for the next corner. Then turn 1, opting to stay behind, as he's also a little bit laggy, and fortunately for me, he runs off the track at turn 1 a little bit, so I can easily pass him by basically just taking the racing line, really. But he's still only 2.5 tenths behind, so if he really wants to, he might want to challenge for this position again. So I'll have to drain this battery here, braking the slipstream a little bit to make sure he doesn't get a nice tow on me. And overall, with using quite a bit of ERS, it was enough to get that position done. Anyways, we have to try and get back in Solid's DRS range, and I don't think Solid was quite up to pace for this race. I'm not sure how much he practiced for this one, but it was actually, well, quite a breeze to get back into his DRS range, and you can see just using nothing on this straight for now and charging up the battery a little bit. You can see nearly 90% again heading into turn 1, and lap 11 out of 22. We're halfway through this race, and I've sat behind Solid Ninja for another lap, just charging up the battery. And now I really want to get past, so using quite a bit of ERS, going up Eau Rouge and Radion. And of course, it's not really a competition when you have good straight line speed. Down the Camel Straight, which is of course boosted with the fact that I could use DRS, and we're back up to P6 in this race now. And there was quite a bit of big gap between all the cars ahead, but of course Bankai, Tigerism here are old mediums, which they started the race with, so naturally me and Solid had a pace advantage over them. And I think that also shows that Solid wasn't quite on the pace by the fact he dropped out of my DRS range. So in the meanwhile, we're looking at Tigerism, who's planning to make a move on Bankai. They both already have time penalties, and ideally I want to get past them as quickly as possible. So I was sort of looking here, where am I going to pass them? How am I going to pass them? Because being third in the DRS train is not a great position. But then lap 13, you can see the AlphaTauri making a mistake, running wide at turn 1. And ultimately this will cost Bankai, because he is the one who doesn't have DRS now. And I'm looking to make the double overtake work. You can see red light flashing from Tigerism, trying to go around the outside here at Lacombe trying to make use of my optimal tire grip here, leaving space on the inside, which then turns to outside and then to the inside again. And I managed to get that move done. So a great double overtake there. I was very satisfied with this move. And it was crucial for my race as well, because I essentially need to close the gap to Gabs and, well, not Tash anymore, because he spun and put it into the wall there, turn 1. But also to my teammate and to some other alternative strategy runners, in order to still have a chance for this podium. Meanwhile, we're looking at a replay from a different perspective, in fact from Bankai's Ferrari. And you can just see, nice clean racing here, both leaving space. And I was very satisfied with this double overtake. Then Bankai getting squeezed a little bit by Tigerism. But then, lap later, you can see it's a Red Bull, it's in the wall. And we have a virtual safety car. Also, listen carefully.
Caution, the virtual safety car has just been deployed due to a buildup of debris on the track. A new strategy is available on the MFD.
You'll see a bit of a strategic mistake by me here. And that's because I didn't even realize the virtual safety car had turned into a full one. So, if I knew this would be a full core safety car, I obviously would have pitted for softs, because this is essentially a repeat of the FRL scenario you saw at the start of this race, except the safety car's like 3 laps earlier, I think. And I sort of made the same mistake now by staying out. And, well, I probably should have paid more attention to what was happening on the screen rather than listening to Jeff. And I would have noticed that the virtual safety car turned into a full course one. Anyways, we're looking at some warnings. There are quite a few drivers that have warnings right now. I'm not sure what Tigerism is doing. He's doing a bit of a Ferrari strategy by staying out on the mediums whilst he cannot make it to the end of the race. He hasn't made a stop yet, so I'm not sure what he was planning at. But of course he should have pitted for a fresh set of soft compound here. But he is sort of my golden ticket to try and get a gap to basically all the soft runners that are behind me now. Of course I'm leading this race, but at this stage the soft compound is like more than a second a lap faster, if not more, for these early stages. Then the longer this race goes on, the more the tire grip comes to my medium compound. But I think it will only be the last lap where my tires are basically equal to all the soft runners that are around me now. Then my teammate at the restart immediately getting ahead of Tigerism, and Zach doing so as well, heading into the Lecom chicane. Then at the end of the lap you can see Tigerism's already dropped 2.5 seconds behind, and fortunately for me he is holding up Gabs and Solid Ninja and whoever else are behind him at the moment. You can also see my teammate catching up significantly throughout this lap. There was just nothing I could do. I was pushing, and even so my teammate still caught up a lot. So I'm gonna let my teammate pass here, because there's no point in defending this really. We were sort of thinking about a plan to try and help me out a little bit and help the team out in general. So I decided to let my teammate by here, and I'll try to defend as hard as possible from Zach and Gabs and whoever else will be catching up by the time Tigerism pits or goes past, as I make a mistake here into this long right-hander, going deep and missing my braking point. But somehow I think Zach might have touched the inside curb there for the right-hander, and it spun him round. So that's a really interesting situation, and good for me, because now there's no immediate threat from Zach anymore in his McLaren. Then you can see here my teammate was helping me out. If she didn't want to, then she would have pulled away by about 5 seconds until the end of the race. But we actually decided to work together here and try to consolidate a 1-2 for Alpine. And she's giving me some free DRS here. And so far it's working. We're sort of keeping a stable gap to Gabs and everyone else behind, especially Bankai and Solid Ninja. Then the next lap you can see the gaps come down by half a second to Gabs, but then I make a mistake on the traction as well, and this ultimately allows Gabs to be back within DRS range. So this was a crucial mistake by me. I think if I didn't make this mistake, we could have made it a lot easier on ourselves. But now I really have to push again on the ERS levels and make sure I stay ahead of Gabs. Then lap 20 out of 22, you can see Gabs had closed up quite a bit, but I think he messed up his braking into turn 1 a little bit, and he's 5.5 to 6 tenths behind. So I don't think he will be able to make this move, because I'm still second in the DRS train, which is the most optimal position to be in to defend from cars behind. Then lap 21 out of 22, the longer this race goes on, the more the grip advantage comes back to the medium tires. But still, I think softs will be 3-4 tenths quicker at this stage of the race. And this time Gabs is 4 tenths behind, less than 4 tenths. So we'll have to use a little bit of the battery, but once again it's good enough to hold on to the position at the moment. And we still have a lap and a half to go. Then later on in lap 21 you can see the teammate pushing a little bit in this middle sector, but then she makes a bit of a mistake here on the braking heading into this, I'm not sure what this chicane is called to be honest. Then leading onto the straight to Blanchimont, I closed up significantly. And going through the bus stop, I'm basically, well, not quite on the gearbox, but very close to the gearbox of my teammate. And crucially, Gabs is very close behind, also without a time penalty. And crucially as well, if I make another mistake, then Bankai will be ready to pounce as well. So both me and my teammate will have to drain the battery here. And at this stage we're unsure how much battery Gabs and Bankai still have left. And keeping it flat going through Eau Rouge and Radion. And we weren't quite sure what we're gonna do, but since my teammate made that mistake on the previous lap, I was actually a lot closer to her this time. And I decided to take the lead here, and in the meanwhile Gabs and my teammate are going side by side. And it was a really good battle. You'll see that in a moment when we go to Bankai's point of view. And you can see from his Ferrari's point of view, me getting past on the right hand side here. And then Gabs and my teammate going side by side into the Les Combes. And my teammate managed to cover it off, but Gabs has a better line heading into this right-hander. He's looking to go down the inside, but doesn't quite manage to make it work. My teammate runs a little bit deep, but in the end it is enough for my teammate to hold on to second place. And overall, I'm first heading into this bus stop chicane. So it looks like I'll be winning this race, but of course that's not fair, because my teammate massively helped me out here. If she wasn't there, I probably would have dropped to P4 in this race, if not P5, because my mediums were so much slower. And it just would have been completely unfair not to give her that win back. That's also what we were talking about, like, if she really wanted to, she could have pulled away 5 seconds easily and left me struggling. But this is great teamwork. This is what teamwork's all about, and we consolidated the 1-2 for Alpine in this race, with Gabs finishing in a strong 3rd place, but it wasn't enough to challenge me for 2nd place. Then Bankai P4, Cronexus P5, and crucially my championship rival down in P6. I actually got my 2nd warning as well throughout that race, so I had to be careful on those final laps as well, not to pick up a 3-second time penalty. Overall though, I can be happy with this race. My teammate helping me a lot, Tigerism being the real MVP for doing Ferrari strategy and holding up some soft runners. And I think I broke the curse that was on Spa for me and finished this race on the podium. If you did enjoy this race, leave a like, leave a comment if you want to, and I'll see you for the next race. Bye bye.